we don't want to make assumptions. I'm thinking that many of us, most of us, have United Methodist connections. But even if you're not United Methodist, from the look of my watch, we're about 10 minutes late, so everyone is officially United Methodist. My experience has been that we at times have trouble starting when we say we're going to. So welcome. I invite you to join in singing Lift Every Voice and Sing, the Black National Anthem, an anthem for which we can stand proudly. Please stand as we sing together. Till earth and heaven ring with the harmony of liberty. Please be seated. Thank you, Mitchell, for accompaniment. This is Mitchell Stecker, who serves as the Minister of Music here at Mount Lebanon. What do you get when you cross Mexico with an anti-racism book? Tequila Mockingbird. I held off introducing myself until after that attempt at humor. So it seemed to go pretty well. So my name is Don Blinn, Jr. I serve as the co-chair of the Pittsburgh District Anti-Racism Team. It is my privilege to serve in that position, and on behalf of our entire team, some you can pick out by our shirts. Some are gold, some are black. I don't know, we're from Pittsburgh, has something to do with that. But on behalf of the entire team, welcome. Welcome to the third annual Reverend Paul D. Taylor Anti-Racism Award Dinner. Before going any further, thank you to the Mount Lebanon United Methodist Church for hosting this event. Thank you to her kitchen staff for the lovingly decorated dining space and food which nourished, blessed, and left us praising the good Lord. Jay Pendleton, my friend and co-chair, who you will hear from later, pushed to properly reimburse the kitchen staff with, well, their leader said they do it as a ministry seeking no reward. So we simply say thank you to them. I'm not sure whether they can hear us from this space as they clean up and care for the leftovers, but let's attempt. So thank you. I let the staff, the kitchen staff, know that I would announce that the meal leftovers are being donated to several feeding ministries which the church shares in ministry with. I don't have all the specific names. They have different contacts, but rather than us take home a bunch of leftovers, I said we'd feel better donating. So I guess I spoke on your behalf, but history. I'm here to talk about history if you're following in the program. I've been tasked with celebrating some of the history behind this award. But before doing that specifically, I want to talk a little more generally about history. I believe we're people who pay attention to the news, and if you've done so lately, you may have noticed that history is a hot topic, shall we say. Such things as, was Thomas Edison really the one to credit with perfecting the light bulb? What about Lewis Howard Latimer? Was Perry the first to discover the North Pole? Or was it Matthew Henson? Did Columbus really discover anything in 1492? If you're into religious art much, you might come away believing that the white man even gave us Jesus the Christ. If you give it a little thought, you might surmise that the only thing white people won't take credit for is racism. Racism is so stupid. You should not treat someone differently just because they are from an inferior race. I know. Get on with the history. The Washington Redskins finally decided to change their name to get rid of the association with historical racism. So now they are the Washington Commanders. Perhaps they should have gotten rid of all historical association with racism and called themselves the Arlington Commanders. Think about it. The Paul Taylor Award. 4 years ago, Jay shared a dream with the Pittsburgh District anti-racism team. It was 2 years previous, in 2019, when Jay became involved with Warren United Methodist Church. And in his involvement with that congregation, Jay met Paul Taylor. Paul so influenced Jay, as Paul has influenced most, if not all of us, that Jay's dream was to honor and continue Paul's legacy while also providing an annual opportunity for gathering around the work of anti-racism. This work is hard. It's draining. It's frustrating. It's gut-wrenching. But shouldn't there also be celebration and community building, some laughter and fun? So the first year, this celebration was hosted at Calvary United Methodist Church on the north side of Pittsburgh. Last year, it was hosted the second time at St. Paul's United Methodist Church in the North Hills. And now, year 3, we are hosted at Mount Lebanon United Methodist Church in the South Hills. We as a team have considered other venues, but why not use our church buildings, sanctuaries in our own communities for ministry, not only on the Sunday mornings, but to keep these buildings, these sanctuaries open for celebration and worship at different times during the week. With how things are going nowadays, there might come a time when we will be called upon to offer our sanctuary to immigrants and other minorities. I am thankful that we are here to celebrate this year's recipient, Peggy Ward. I'm thankful that we are here to honor the ongoing legacy of Paul Taylor. I'm thankful that the needed work of anti-racism and the span of history, which is not all good, but it is in need of being acknowledged, learned from, and leading to further and better chapters. Our current administration is pushing to cancel some of our history. The Pittsburgh District Art fights to remember history and celebrate. Struggle in anti-racism work to not only educate and inform, but actually to bring some change to the systems of which we are all part. This award dinner, we believe, is a step along that path of bringing change. Enough for me. I now invite forward our Episcopal leader, Bishop Sandra Steiner Ball. May she address us as a prophet with words of inspiration, but also words of challenge. Bishop.
Good evening. It is wonderful to see you, and wow, you look great out there. Let me just say, you do. You look beautiful. God's beautiful people together, and you do make a difference, and I'm glad that you're out here this evening. When I came into Western Pennsylvania just a few months ago, I spent some time running around the conference and being in the different districts. And what I heard in all but one district meeting, someone asked me, are we going to continue our work on anti-racism? Are we going to continue our work on anti-racism? I said, yes. Yes, that's part of God's vision for this world. God created this world with a great and wide and blessed diversity. And yes, we're going to continue our work on anti-racism. But it's something we've got to be involved with, not just celebrate. It's something that we need to be involved with. It takes work, and it is frustrating at times. And I don't know about you, but some of the history that you're talking about, Don, is really troubling these days. And it's important to remember that when we don't rehearse the history, that does something for our future. It only takes a generation to lose our history and to lose our way. It's important to do what you do here for the 3rd anniversary and hopefully for many more anniversaries to come, because you rehearse the history. You help tell the people of this world how important it is that we learn to love one another, and love one another not just once in a while, and not just tolerate one another, but to really love boldly. Really to love boldly. And that can be hard. I'm getting ready to go on a civil rights journey this summer. And I'm reading a number of books, and I'm in small group study and discussion around the people who are going to be on that journey, which is going to be taken by bus. The buses are coming. While the world watched, a mile in my shoes. These are all histories. They're all stories of people who walked through the civil rights movement and took a stand and sang together as they learned and educated, as they boarded buses with people who did not want them there, as they sat at lunch counters and were not served. And they sang when they sat in prisons, trying to bolster one another and trying to help the persons in different places know that they were not alone in this struggle, that we struggle together for justice, and we struggle together to recognize one another as created in God's image, all of us, valued and valuable, loved and lovable. We need not forget this history, because if you haven't noticed, there are some out there who are trying to erase it. There are some out there who don't want the stories to be told. There's some out there who want to just not acknowledge that there are certain biases that need to be challenged. We need to continue to examine and know our history. We need to be challenged. We need to talk about racism. We need to talk about white supremacy. And we need to talk about it and to bear with one another and help one another to learn and to be educated and to have experiences where our own kind of grids and the way we grew up are challenged. We need to ask questions of one another, and in the midst of some of our assumptions in the way we live life, we need people who love us to come and say to us, Sandra, what you just said wasn't said in a right way, and it demeaned someone else or another group of people. Or Sandra, what are we going to do about this? Or Sandra, how do we care for our people in new ways, knowing that fear keeps people from our sanctuaries, but their needs still need to be met. And we are still called to be the people of God who provide pathways and avenues for people's needs to be met, and to help them to know that they are not alone. Yes, church, we're going to have to do some things differently. For far too long, we have sat in these big, beautiful buildings and waited for people to come to us. Now there are some people in our communities that are scared to come to us, because there are people waiting in our communities to take them, or to challenge them, or to arrest them, or to deport them, or to visit violence upon their bodies, just because. Church, we're living in a time where we need to rethink some of the freedom of the Underground Railroad and what that looks like today for our people. How do we lead our people to freedom again through different pathways? How do we really help the church to become sanctuary, knowing the church sanctuary is not just in a building, but it's wherever 2 or 3 are gathered in the name of Jesus. There is the sanctuary, and there is where our mission and ministry is. and we can engage in people wherever we are and provide new hope and new life and transforming power. We are a powerful people, we followers of Jesus Christ. We are. And sometimes that power takes place in large, bombastic ways, in statements and following policy, and in peace marches, and in anti-racism gatherings. And sometimes that work is done by being the patient prophet who really pays attention to what the people in our communities need and provide it in ways that sometimes people aren't even aware of until after it's all over. Yeah. It's an honor to be here and be part of this third annual Reverend Paul D. Taylor Anti-Racism Award Dinner. It's a piece of the larger work that continues to need to be done in our country. I'm thankful for the Pittsburgh District Anti-Racism Team and its continuing efforts to celebrate diversity and end racism. And you're right, it's about ending racism, but it's also about celebrating, and we gotta have both. The people who work hard have to play hard because it's about giving life, and life is something to celebrate. It's something to laugh about. It's something to sing and dance joyfully about. It's about life in all of its beautiful diversity. I had the true pleasure of spending some time with Reverend Paul Taylor, for whom this dinner is named. When I was serving when Paul was serving as the Pittsburgh district superintendent, it was at a time when the West Virginia cabinet, bishop and cabinet, and the Western Pennsylvania bishop and cabinet met a few times, and we're doing mission and ministry, trying to talk about what that looks like together. Gosh, collaboration. Collaboration. Imagine that. We were trying to make a difference through collaboration and through building new relationships, through praying together and listening to God together. And during those years, I had an opportunity to get to know Dr. Taylor, and he and I struck up a relationship over God's call on our lives and over our love for the people of West Virginia. There was a wonderful little town called Fairmont that Reverend Taylor was very, very familiar with and loved deeply. In this little Methodist church, Trinity United Methodist Church, a place in his heart. And he and I talked about the anti-racism work and the cross-racial, cross-cultural work, which was such a challenge in both the Western Pennsylvania area and the West Virginia area. And he and I talked and dreamed, and we had some plans for him to come and work, not just there at Trinity in Fairmont, but across the West Virginia Conference to work on our anti-racism, our celebration of diversity. Unfortunately, his health never gave us the opportunity to see those plans come to fruition, but the work continues. The work continues. In all of our conversations, though, when Paul and I talked, there was always a mention, most of the time more than just a mention, of family. Family was so important to him. And I'm so glad, Christine and other family members, Mary, that you're here to be a part of this dinner. I had the highest respect for your dad, the highest respect for him. And he was so courageous. He was so courageous for Christ as he left his law profession and stepped fully and wholly into the work of Jesus Christ. He was a giant, and he used the great varieties of gifts that God had given to him to work for the healing of the world, to work for the healing of the people, to work for the building of up of God's people and the building up of Christ's church. Paul understood the beauty of God's great diversity. Each of us being created in God's image. We have a God who is full of a lot of different races, a lot of different colors, a lot of different gifts. Diversity from the beginning of this world is God's plan and is God's blessing. Each one of us is a part of that plan and is part of that blessing. And folks, we've gathered here because we recognize that it is God's call to continue that blessing and to perpetuate and to multiply that blessing so that others really come to know the true blessing of diversity, the wonder, the beauty of it all, and to understand that we cannot allow fear to stop us in our tracks. Fear, folks, is actually the opposite of love because it paralyzes us from doing anything. How do we get rid of the fear? We rehearse the history. We tell the stories. We spend time getting to know and building a relationship with someone who is not like us. We share our stories. We listen deeply. Paul was instrumental in this broken world, instrumental to bringing people back to God's original plan and blessing. He opened that door, raised that blind to help other people celebrate God's diversity. He challenged the brokenness and sought to bring repair, education, healing, and yes, reconnection. I give thanks to God for Paul, for his witness and his ministry. I give thanks for the people who continue this work of anti-racism and the celebration of the rich diversity God intends for God's world. I give thanks in particular this evening for Peggy Ward, this year's award recipient, who looks into systemic racism, who raises the questions, who challenges, who educates, who teaches, who doesn't just confront and leave, but comes alongside and walks with collaboratively, recognizing that all of us need to grow and all of us can be transformed and come to a different place by God's power, God's grace, and God's Spirit. May we all recommit ourselves to the work of becoming truly beloved community, all people of all nations, ages, and races, working, living, and sharing God's love and light, boldly, courageously, and joyfully together. May our work continue.
Thank you, Bishop. You have heard Mitchell on the organ. He has now made his way to the piano that he may accompany our guest soloists. This evening, Charlene Canty. She is a member at the Mount Lebanon Lutheran Church. She sings in several community choirs, and she comes to share her gift this evening. she will sing First Ride On, King Jesus. And a little later in the program, she will sing, He's Got the Whole World in His Hands. Thank you, Charlene. Thank you, Charlene. Thank you, Mitchell. I'd like to think that we leave a legacy in many different ways. Through our work, through our recreation, through our neighborhood. But I would like to think that our greatest legacy comes through our family. Those whom we share that intimate space with, that we might leave a mark on our spouse, on our children, on our grandchildren. I think it most appropriate as we honor Paul Taylor's legacy that we hear from his family. In a minute, I'm going to invite Christine forward, Paul Taylor's daughter, Paul and Loretta's daughter, to come and share with us some of her impressions of this man that has left a mark upon her life. But before I invite her forward, I share a further part of the history of this award. This will be the third year that we've had the banquet, that we've had the program following the banquet. And it'll be the third year that Christine has been invited to preach at Warren United Methodist Church tomorrow morning. So I spoke with the pastor, He said he has enough space, that we're all invited to the historic Hill District of Pittsburgh at 11 a.m. tomorrow to hear Christine bring inspiration and challenge. I also heard, and we have been invited, that there is a fellowship meal following worship. So not only will Christine feed us, but there will be other nourishment following our time in the sanctuary. So Christine, if you'll make your way forward, we'd love to hear your words of inspiration and challenge.
Thank you. So as I got prepared to travel here, I'm on the heels of our annual conference, the Baltimore Washington Conference. We ended on Thursday, and our theme was dwell in joy, rejoice in the Lord and dwell in joy. And so I think this is definitely a moment that we can rejoice in the work that has gone before us and rejoice in the Lord, that the work that has been set before us. And so as I reflected, I can almost hear my father saying, well, folks, the goalpost has moved. In these few short months, the goalpost has moved exponentially. The nation is wrought with division and is exhausted with injustice and clouded with misinformation of fear. But this means that God has presented us with an opportunity to share the light of Christ with all whom we encounter and bring, as my father used to say, a little taste of heaven here on earth. We are called to be the church, so let's be the church and help clear the path so that the stream of justice can roll down unobstructed. If you met my father before he decided to stop running, he was an attorney. So justice work has always been a part of who he is, and he took that work very seriously. This justice work is not born out of avoidance. It begins with a clear and courageous vision. Jamaki Hightower, a Blackfoot Indian, encourages us to look twice at the world if we are to see all that there is to see. And this is not a naive idealism, but a holy practice. It is a faith-filled seeing that the kind that dares to see God's vision of wholeness when the world seems so far from it. And I dare say in this season, we may need to look more than twice. But this is the work of anti-racism and all the anti-ism work. It is challenging kingdom work, and it requires imagination to see both the depth of injustice and the hope of transformation. I remember when my father took his first assignment at Calvary United Methodist Church, and he asked, I don't know whether I should take it. And I said, if you take it, they will come. And I remember hearing at his wake and at my mother's wake the countless stories of folks sharing their encounters with him or my mother, and how they were able to see beyond what the world said that they were, and to see that they are indeed God's treasured creations, and they were welcome into the fold. This is God's table that we set before us. It is God's house, which means that all are welcome. No one should be excluded. And my parents really lived that out fully in all the work that they did. My mother as an educator, my father as an attorney, and later as clergy. So I would like to encourage us to remember the new command that was given to us that say we are disciples. In John 13, where it says, "Love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. By this, everyone will know you are my disciples if you love one another." This love means that no one is left out of the divine vision. We cannot other, we cannot exclude. Everyone is included. So I want to thank you for honoring my father's legacy, knowing that, as he would say, he was the man that he was not only because of his mother, but because of my mother, his wife, his beloved wife. Because this work is not easy, it is challenging. And it's not work that we do alone. Our family, our friends, our spouses, our siblings go along with us, nourishing us when we grow weary in the work that has been set before us. So I give thanks to the Pittsburgh anti-racism team in keeping his legacy alive and recognizing and honoring his passion for the justice work, his passion for seeing everyone as God's treasured creations. And to this year's recipient, I pray that God continues to strengthen you in the work that you have been called to do. And for all of us, because we are God's disciples, that we take a second look and see that we are all deserving of love, we are all deserving of justice. God's vision includes all of us. Thank you.
Charlene, will you sing about whose hands they are that hold us? Amen. And amen. Now, this next part of the program is a video tribute. I'm going to carry on as if it's going to go exactly as we have planned it. But I'm as excited as you to see it. I'll just leave it at that. So a video tribute, several have sent in video pieces to acknowledge, to lift up, to celebrate our recipient, Peggy Ward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cynthia Lee. I've written down a few things about Peggy, and I hope you'll have patience with me while I read them. I'm so happy that Peggy's being recognized in this way. To me, Peggy has always been a doer, whether helping friends her own age as a youngster or volunteering on crisis hotline as a young adult. I have told my sister how much I admire her courage and eagerness to go wherever needed to help make the lives of others better. Passport at the ready, Peggy. Hop a plane if the need arises and she thinks that she may be of help. Peggy and I have spoken often about the work her church community does to recognize and address all aspects of racism. Say what you mean and mean what you say is Peggy's motto, with a low tolerance for lip service. We are very proud of you, Peggy. And what about the parents? They would have loved to be here and celebrate this day with you. Ma left you a strong legacy of community service and advocacy for those who felt powerless to speak for themselves. Now both grandmother and mother have inspired the next generation in Denise Nicole. She has the same caring, compassionate efforts to make positive change in the lives of people, all people. Love you, Peggy. I would say this award has your name written all over it, but some smart people in the United Methodist Church, Pittsburgh district have already taken care of that. Enjoy your evening, Cynthia Ward Lee. Thank you.
Hi, Aunt Peggy, and congratulations on being honored tonight with the Reverend Paul D. Taylor Anti-Racism Award. It's really hard to put into words the impact that you've had on not just the church community, but everyone who knows you. We are very lucky to have a big family that focuses on growing and bettering not just ourselves, but the world around us. And growing up, we definitely knew going to visit you meant that we were going to be stepping outside of our comfort zone. So whether it was learning, exploring, serving, or just being exposed to something bigger than ourselves, you always taught us to stand for justice, not just to believe in it, but to live it even when it was not easy. So in many ways, we were able to see you be an advocate, a leader, a teacher, and just an example of someone who can and has and continues to make a real and lasting change within their sphere of influence and well beyond. You definitely deserve this award. Congratulations, and thank you for all that you do.
The first video, Peggy was Cynthia Lee, who is your sister, okay? And the second was Chantal Gunn, which is a niece, I take it? Okay. See, it went just like we had that planned. The Pittsburgh District Anti-Racism Team seeks not just to talk about anti-racism and diversity. We intend to actually live out the tenets of that work. Our team has very pointedly been created to be a diverse body, representing persons from different places in life, from different professions, different races. We have asked one of our team members to introduce Peggy as our recipient this night. And we actually selected her to exemplify some of the diversity of the team. We've asked Kim Roten, who serves here on the staff at Mount Lebanon. She shares with Peggy gender. She shares with Peggy a heart for Christian education. What was the third thing I was doing? Kim also brings a diversity in that she speaks Spanish. So I didn't clarify with her exactly. I think she's going to address us in English, but I don't know for sure. So Kim, if you'll make your way forward and introduce this year's recipient. Oh, Peggy and Kim are both lay persons. It's not just clergy that serve on our team, but we're also represented by the lay in the conference. Thank you, Kim.
Good evening. I am so thrilled to be here tonight. My name is Kim Roten, and I'm the Director of Christian Education here at Mount Lebanon Methodist Church. And as such, I am so thrilled to see so many young people with us tonight. Those who know me know that I would probably far prefer to be on the floor cross-legged coloring with your children than speaking from this podium tonight, but anything for Peggy and anything for Dawn. Mount Lebanon Church is so thrilled to have this event in our space, and on behalf of our church staff and our lay leadership, I do want to welcome all of you. We are thrilled to have Peggy and her family, the Taylor family, always wonderful to see you, and Christine, to connect with you again. We are honored to have our wonderful bishop with us tonight and all of you. About 4 years ago, I joined the anti-racism team in the Pittsburgh district. And I did it after I happened to attend an event that they sponsored. And I was inspired. And I knew that I wanted to do more. And I knew that I needed help to do it. I knew I couldn't do it alone. I needed a team with me that could help me. I knew I needed like-minded people to encourage and shore me up when things got difficult, and I needed people from whom I could learn. This team is where I met Peggy Ward. And as Dawn mentioned, I soon found out that she and I both have an education background. And when I found that out, I thought, that's it. That's what I like about this lady. We have that in common. Because, my friends, as you probably already know, if there is a type of person who can get things done, it is a teacher. If you need someone who can juggle 18 balls with her hand tied behind her back and her hair on fire, you need a teacher. Do you need someone who notices and illuminates those among us who are most in need of support? That's a teacher. And do you need the ugly truth spoken boldly in a way that elucidates systemic injustices and emboldens all of us to join her in the fight? That is a teacher. Mrs. Peggy Ward is just such a teacher. And I am so proud and honored to be here today to introduce to you our recipient of the 2025 Paul Taylor Anti-Racism Award. And I pray that all of us continue to learn the many lessons that she has to teach us still. And with that, I would like to bring up Peggy's beautiful daughter, Denise Nicole Stone.
Hello, I'm Denise Nicole Stone, and I'm honored to present the third annual Reverend Paul D. Taylor Anti-Racism Award to Peggy Ward. When I was first asked to do this, I said yes, of course, obviously. But then, as I thought about it more, I realized that this was going to be hard. How to encompass all that my mother is in a short statement. So this is incomplete, but an attempt. A word to describe Peggy is a teacher, which we've heard often tonight. As I was reading her bio preparing for this, I was struck by how much of what she does has an educational focus. The development of Conference Learning from Strangers program for clergy and congregations in cross-racial, cross-cultural ministry, the introduction of the use of intercultural development inventory, organizing the Anti-Racism Summit, which focused on education for action in anti-racism, emphasizing soul care in their work, convening the Summit Transformational Action Anti-Racism Team, START, intentional in the work of anti-racism. Then working with that team, United Women in Faith, and community partners to raise awareness around the Johnstown banishment and hold visuals in Pittsburgh and Johnstown commemorating the 100th anniversary. Leading sessions of the first district-wide foundation courses on race, and developing and leading an advanced course on dismantling racism for the district lay speaking program, to name a few things. With an unwavering eye towards systems, she is always asking and more importantly encouraging others to consider why the world and the church look the way that it does. How did we get here? What do you see at work here? Zoom out and break it down. Anyone who has spent any length of time with her has walked away having learned something. She is genuinely a lifelong learner and delights in sharing what she has learned with others. And she knows that you can't change a system if you don't understand it and don't understand how it works on you and those around you. That's vital work. Another word to describe Peggy is passionate. She has a seemingly endless well of energy for the people and topics she cares about. She recently retired and is somehow busier than ever. She dives in, hours reading, listening to webinars, or recording them if there's a conflict, hours talking through strategies. It can be exhausting to witness, but it speaks to how convicted she is in this work. She is driven by the knowledge that this, the world, the church, can be different. Just because we see racism in our world and in our church, just because it has always been that way, doesn't mean it has to be. Someone built all of these systems, and if they can be built, they can be rebuilt, they can be transformed, and in this time, in our moment, in our sphere, we must push our institutions to be better. We can, in fact, do things differently, and she gives everything she has to that task. A final word to describe her is bold. She is willing to stand alone, to say the hard and uncomfortable truth, to call for awareness and intentionality when others would rather take the easy route, and to weather the storms and backlash that come from calling for what is right and what is necessary. And she is willing to take big swings, to dream of an anti-racist world and an anti-racist church, something radically different from what we see today, and then resolutely push and carry us in that direction. So, Mom, I can't see you, but I know you're not near done yet in this work. You're still climbing, and we have miles to go. But I hope you know that you've inspired us all, and personally, I'll say, you are walking fast. So much of me is made of the things that I learned from you, and you deserve this, and we are so, so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Pittsburgh anti-racism team, for recognizing my work. Thank you all for taking time to come out and to remember Paul Taylor. It is important work to remember and to lift up. And thank you for coming to celebrate with me. I want to recognize Paul's family. Thank you for your support of this endeavor, which is a significant one. Your continued presence is a testament to the importance of recognizing those that engage this work and the importance of the work itself. I know most people will speak to me of Paul's intention in the work and of his big voice and his smile. I want to say to you, family, that Paul and I also talked about what Paul Lawrence Dunbar refers to as the torn and bleeding heart and the long mile that lies beneath the smile. And it is something that Black and brown people know all too well. Thank you for allowing us to acknowledge our struggles and joy as we celebrate him. So you have my bio, so I won't spend much time there. I will add nuance and context to that, but I have to move fast. I have a lot I want to say to you. If you find yourself not recognizing a reference, I hope you will take that as an opportunity to make a date with Google and find out more. If you find yourself feeling uncomfortable, I hope you'll see that as points of entry for you to join this work. This work is about confronting whiteness, manifested through white supremacy, wielding the bludgeon of racism, and tearing that down. And it is about building something new, loosing the imagination and creating something that has never, ever existed in our country or our church.
It is about knowing that our Constitution has always been an aspiration, and it is through the struggles of those most marginalized that we come closer to living into it. Lila Watson, an Aboriginal woman activist, invites us. If you have come here to help me, you are wasting your time. But if you have come because your liberation is bound up with mine, then let us work together. It is the Black and brown liberation movements and the white people who join them that make America great again and again and again. The church has also been, and some might need to take a breath here, largely aspirational. Though even worse in my estimation, because we are a called people, and we have distorted that call, and it has been distorted from the time the church has been planted on American soil. We are the people, and the time is now to live out God's call in this institution, and we start where we are. Let me give you a little sense of how I came to be in this work. I was born Black to a Black family in a newly developed housing project in Boston. As a child, we integrated 2 neighborhoods with all that that implies. I was a child of the 60s. I was in the world of Shirley Chisholm, Edward Brooks, and Adam Clayton Powell, Shabazz and Bean Pies, Black Power, and the Rainbow Coalition of Jesse Jackson. The civil rights movement was my growing up experience. In my late 30s, I became a churchgoer, and then comes United Methodist Women, now United Women in Faith. After an initial refusal because I don't speak in public and absolutely will not role play, I said, I attended National Seminar and chose the racism track for learning. Within a day, I was shoving people aside and leaping over auditorium seats to play Here We Go Zudio. I was in fishbowl discussions, playing roles and taking on others' perspectives. I came back and hit the circuit, making people aware of the Charter for Racial Justice and that it needed to be reaffirmed at the upcoming General Conference. The rest, as they say, is history. My work has been defined by a fierce sense of justice and fairness that is nuanced and contextual and ever-evolving. Micah 6:8, with the exasperated mother voice of God, I have told you, and I'm not about to keep telling you. And what does the Lord require? Require says to me that we need to have honesty and integrity to the thing that we say we're about. The persistent widow is another one of my scriptures, Luke 18:1-8. The widow who pleads to the judge daily until he relents and grants her justice. It tells us to keep going in the face of obstacles, which often look like unjust laws, procedures, rules, or things that stand in place of justice. My fealty is to justice, not lookalikes. I have to do the uncomfortable thing. I have to screw my courage to the sticking place and push through. It is holy work, because when I am true to it, it changes things. The judge is changed. The onlookers are changed. The system is moved. It is holy work. And love your neighbor. Matthew 22:36-40. I am actively challenged by this each and every day, but I accept that challenge. So here are some things I have learned about myself and about the work that I feel are important to pass on. First, I want to say that I have said white probably several times because we all need to know we are raced and to normalize these conversations about race. It is a changing work, and it will change you, so let it. We are at a crossroads in this country and in this church in Western Pennsylvania. We are deciding what we will do and who we will be. James Baldwin says, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." The way we teach about who God is shapes what we do as God's hands and feet in the world, as God's church in the world. Do we teach Jesus of the mild or Jesus the overthrower of tables? Change starts with me. Everywhere I go, there I find myself. Wrestle with the whiteness in you. We are all shackled by it. Deal with systems. Take care of these things, and cross-racial relationships and interracial relationships will leap forward. I want to give some thanks again to PART. That's what I like to try, get everyone to call it PART. So again to PART, you allow me to belong, and I thank you. Paul Taylor and family, I thank you. And to all of you here. I do want to make some special thank yous, but I do run the risk of leaving someone off the list. My people know I love you and I thank you. So if I don't mention it, please remember that. United Women in Faith. You saw me. You nurtured me. You taught me. You supported me, and you support me. I can't start calling names. I wouldn't be able to stop. Church Union. You were one of the first places I served outside of United Women in Faith, and I have been connected in some ways since the beginning. I am so grateful now that you allow me the space to do what I love, both on the job and off, to be most fully myself, and my staff and my coworkers rock and make it all possible, and I have so much love for you. I owe so much to Lay Speaker School and section leaders and everyone I have met on my journeys through the church. Greenstone, you were my point of entry and remain my anchor. We change, but will always remain. Thank you to David and Christina for representing this part of my life, and Mary Ruth, who is Greenstone to me, and United Women in Faith, and so much more. And friend, you have been there from the start. We have solved many of the world's problems in late night sessions. And we've paid the price. I honor you in my life and in the life of my family. To my start people, you are the start of community, of those of us fighting this beast. Keep hanging in there. Learning from strangers. We gave it a good try. Institutions are going to do what institutions do, but you fought the good fight. Thank you for answering the call. We are all better for that work and bring more to what we continue to do. My new friend in the struggle is here, Debbie. We found each other in Johnstown as we did the Johnstown banishment work, lifting up that 100th year anniversary. Thank you for being here, Debbie. Everyone must find their people in this work. Robert and William have been there from the beginning and are still there. They are the ones I call anytime, and they come through. I want to lift up Heather Birch. Heather Birch is so reliable. I can call her and say, I'm trying to do this thing and I need someone, and she'll say, okay, let me see. And so often she finds a way to be right there with me, doing those things, and to also disagree as we talk and plan and work together. And there are so many more. Please know that I see you and I love you. I want to thank my cousins. Where you at? I am overflowing that you are here. I couldn't ask for better, and yet you exceed that. I love you and I thank you. Well, you heard about my mom and dad. I have them right here on either side. My mom, who always held ground and set precedents with tenant-landlord relationships, the woman that all women are measured by. And my dad, who taught me how to be part of a big, sprawling family and showed me I was worth working out relationship with and held ground. And to my siblings, one of whom is here, they are the wind beneath my wings. I gotta find my page again, sorry, y'all. So I come from a long, people ask me sometimes, you don't seem to burn out. Like you're always in this. And as I thought about this, I think it's probably true. I don't really feel burnt out. Sometimes I feel annoyed, fed up, and then sometimes I feel overwhelmed. But I come from a long line of people that didn't give up or couldn't give up. And I have to say right here, Tracy Merrick, we need you to go back to your speech, first-time honoree, and add a Gil Scott-Heron reference, because I have one. And we need to make this part of the criteria for awardees, that they can do a Gil Scott-Heron reference, okay? And here goes mine, as I talk about those shoulders I stand on. Gil says, "They're lights that shine on, inspire me to climb on from all of the places we've been. And my enduring purpose, you can hear them and see them around my family. I don't burn out because I have them to think of and them to plan a world for and work a world for. So I want to thank my husband, Phil, and my children, my brother-in-law, my children's partners, and my bonus children who are here, and my grandchildren. I don't burn out because they need a world where they can walk in the truth of who they are and in the freedom of who they are, where we can live into our Black liberation dreams and white folks work to bring those about because they know we get free together. So I hope you're ready to start. I stand ready to work with you as we move. I hope you could see your place on this journey. I hope you could see your place in my journey. And I'll see you in the work. Thank you. Thank you.
What an amazing, amazing evening. We have moved the photo of Paul in the front because at the end we are forming in position of dancing our way out of the place. But before we do, just briefly, there's nothing that really hasn't been said. But I really would like to wrap this evening up under the theme of experiencing greatness. Experiencing greatness. Sometimes we experience greatness and have no idea that we are in the midst of greatness. To me, that was Paul. We only had one serious conversation, and that was, Jay, you're going to be a preacher one day. The other conversations were filled with laughter and recipes and food and conversations about family. But any of you who know me know that I am a thinker and I ask a lot of questions. And I wish I would have taken the opportunity to ask all of the questions. Mainly, how do you deal with this system that is the United Methodist Church? I wish he was still here. I had so much stuff to ask him. Sometimes you are in the presence of greatness, and greatness is unrelenting. To me, that is Peggy Ward. Peggy and I have had knockdown, drag-out conversations, and through that built a wonderful, what I believe to be, and I hope, is a friendship. She does tell it how it is. It has hit me sometimes, unrelentlessly, and I love and appreciate her for that. And I thank you, Peggy, because despite our conversations and disagreements, when I needed her to be there to stand in the gap, she was right there. Sometimes greatness is expressed in love and support. This is not about me at all tonight, but this has been a terribly difficult season in my life. And the Pittsburgh District Anti-Racism Team has been there to support every step of the way. So this evening, I'd just like to give some recognition for the team because they stood in the gap when I wasn't able to be there. And so I'd like to thank you tonight. So please join me in taking the time. Experiencing greatness. We must continue to recharge ourselves. Our tagline for Pittsburgh Art is agitate, celebrate, and serve. And we can't do any of that without you. So I thank you. Paul, we miss you and we love you. Peggy, we congratulate you. Have an amazing evening. And Bishop, I welcome you to pray us out.
As the bishop makes her way forward, one final thought. What do you call portable two-way radio transceivers that hate racism and like to smoke pot? Wokey-tokies.
Wokey-tokey. Oh, it's been a wonderful evening. Congratulations again, Peggy. Thank you, Taylor family, for being here amongst us. There is so much more to do. And this world needs to be transformed. And this world needs to know the love of Jesus Christ. So go forth this day, knowing that God has indeed created each one of us for greatness. Go forth this day, knowing that at various times in our lives, we all need someone who will stand in that gap. Go forth this day, knowing that we have to plug into the power source in order to be all that God has created and designed us to be. and go forth this evening, hearing God's call on your life again. A call that leads us into the work of anti-racism, a call that helps lead us into places where we need to dispel fear, a call that leads us to work with people that will help transform this world so that it can indeed have hope and new life, and go forth knowing that we're not alone. God is with us, but even more importantly, we have one another, all made in God's image, and it's all of us together with God that transforms this world. Go in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and go being one with Christ, one with each other, and one in ministry to this broken world that needs hope and new life. Amen.
Mitchell, we are marching in the light of God. Let us stand and sing together.